Hello, listeners. Welcome to Mindful MS. I'm your host, Jessica, or Yiskah Koock. So, today I wanted to talk about what may or definitely did kick in my predisposition for MS. So, two of my mom's cousins had passed away from complications due to MS, so it was definitely hereditary for me. Also, I live in the Northeast, so that's maybe darker, not enough vitamin D. I guess people closer to the equator have much less of an occurrence of MS, or none at all. I'm not sure, but I have friends who said, "Oh, because MS can mimic so many other ailments like Lyme," and he keeps saying, "Oh, you probably have Lyme. You probably have Lyme," but I've been tested for Lyme maybe 3 times, and I don't have Lyme, and it would be, I mean, I know Lyme is very harrowing, especially when it gets internal, but, if there were an antibiotic that could, uh, help me out of this 23-year journey, I think that would be good. Maybe it was more like 25 years. So I was sharing with everyone, um, that I believe it was emotional what caused me to get MS. So when I was 17, um, my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer. And then there was 7 years of remissions and relapses and, um, recurrences. And it was a really hard time in my life. I moved around a lot back then. And I think my theme song, once I realized, um, was "You're running and you're running and you're running away. You're running and you're running and you're running away. You're running and you're running and you're running away. But you can't run away from yourself. Can't run away from yourself." So that was something I learned in my running away. But then when I was 25 and my mom was 50, she did die. And there was a lot of esoteric things that happened around her death as well. The night before she died, it was during Sukkot, which is like the Jewish harvest festival. And I was out in my sukkah. Had Friends of mine had created a sukkah for me, and I just knew my mom was having so much trouble. I had just been lying with her, and she was pointing to her hip because the cancer had gotten into her bones, and she was in so much pain. She was shaking her head, and I went out to my sukkah and I prayed. I just prayed, "God, please take her home now." And I said a little, excuse me, a little prayer spell, and the next morning, she had died. And my first feeling was, "I didn't mean right away." My second feeling was like, "That's crazy powerful." I was finally able to release her. I think she was just sticking around because of my neediness for her. And so when I could release her, and then she could pass away. I remember when she was first diagnosed, and I shook my fist up at God. I'm always faithful, always very faithful. And I said to God, "You don't tell me when she dies. I tell you." And so that was the way it was. Kind of crazy. But my grief was so complicated. And I believe my complicated grieving is what kicked in my predisposition for MS. So, after my mom died, I actually moved back to Colorado, to the mountains, and I was courting death. I was writing poetry to death. I'll try to say it without embodying it. One of my dream teachers I do dream work. So I have another podcast called The Dream Stream. Check it out if you like. And one of my teachers was like, don't, you shouldn't you shouldn't speak that poem because you're so present when you speak it. And it, and he was just talking about careful what you wish for kind of thing. So I'll just say it, not speaking, not feeling it. I said, surround me, death. I long to hear you speak, to be with you eternally. Oh, I'm not remembering it. I guess that's good. Take me to eternity. Hail me silently under this sleet. Um, and I would pray. I knew I would never take my own life. I just feel life is such a gift. And if I were to take my own life, it felt very ungrateful for this amazing gift of life. So I just was praying, God, you kill me. You strike me down with lightning now. I don't want to go through this left behind. That's how I felt. So and then shortly after that, I was struck by lightning, but I was struck blind in my right eye, not fully blind, but just optic neuritis. And that was the beginning of I also told about the esoteric sign sitting in front of the wood stove at my friend's cabin up 4 Mile Canyon, and watching the wood burning with the door open, and the letters MS were burning in the log. So because of that, I've always felt that this is from God or the universe, or however one is comfortable relating to a higher realm, higher spiritual realm. And so I always knew this was from God because I was shown what was ahead for me. So because of that, I think I can be more accepting of the MS because I believe I did choose it for this life. I think I said it in one of the last podcasts. Um, well, anyway, so a big issue for me is my whole right side is hampered. So I have great pain in my right shoulder, and sometimes it travels down my arm a little. Sometimes it travels to my chest a little. I have problems with my right leg. I can't bend at the knee. And so when I'm getting in a car or getting up in my bed, I have to hook my hand under my knee. It's kind of a handle there by the bone, and put my leg into the bed or put my leg into the car. That's definitely challenging. The other thing is I got a brace, personalized, made for me, and it was supposed to help me with 3 issues. So I had, drop foot, so that was the first one. And then also I was having trouble with, when I would walk on the grass, my ankle was starting to not be able to hold me up, like turn on me, and then, very painful. And then the third thing is the toes. My lovely long toes had been cramping, and cramping underneath. Nothing so painful as walking on your toes. Gosh, I felt like, when women had their feet bound in China, over 100 years ago. It feels like that. Um, so, and I'll be glad to talk more about the medicine that I take. I take medical marijuana, and I find for cramping legs, calves, feet, toes, it's unparalleled. It alleviates the pain completely. And as far as the pain in my shoulder, I've when I try to respond to what kind of pain this is, the questions are, is it a dull pain? No, it's not a dull pain. Is it a sharp pain? Yes, it is a sharp pain, but it's more like an electrical current shocking me is what it is. And when I first was feeling this pain, all I could do was cry about it because I didn't see how I could live with this much pain in my life. But I guess I felt that same way I told you in the first MS, mindful MS, that when my hands went numb and I thought, I can't possibly live like this. And yet I do, and that I have. So there was a while I was using hemp flowers and, medical marijuana or marijuana flowers and mixing them up and rolling them up because it seems like I did so much better on that. I think the CBD is extraordinary, and I hope everybody has found something that works for you to alleviate your pain too. So I look forward to talking more with you, and I'm hopeful that other people with MS or who are affected by MS in their lives will also come on this podcast. I want to talk with you about it. MS is a hella journey. A hella journey. Okay, a blessed journey. Remember, listeners, MS means truth.